The biggest thing that seems to keep coming up with people is I really suggest that you limit your social media intake right now. I think it's an easy time to go down that rabbit hole, but from the beginning, mental hygiene wise, I think number one, checking it first thing in the morning is always it's just a risk. It's a gamble. I always used to feel like Facebook in particular, you go into it and it's like walking into a party and hearing everybody's thoughts all at the same time, and that's a lot, especially right now. And I think, I honor the fact that when you are triggered, you take the time to examine why and dig deep or whatever. But at the same time, I also think there's times for that. And if you are feeling triggered often and a lot, that's just a sign that you need to tone it back. And whatever you want to find, you can online, right? So it's important to curate your social media feed, but at the same time, do it in a way that feels good to you, and don't judge yourself if today you feel inspired by something and the next day you don't, and it overwhelms you and you have to take a break, because I think that's real health. Sometimes when I talk to people who have taken a step back or who aren't on social media, they especially those who are taking a step back, feel like they have to explain why, or they have to explain that like it's not good for me or something. And it's like, I don't think it should be that heavy. It's like, do you have to tell people when you don't eat broccoli? Like, no. So why do we feel like we have to justify it to people? Like, whatever, I say that because I'm on social media a little more than usual right now, because I'm hoping to be, a beacon of support for some people who feel overwhelmed by this life that I have felt overwhelmed with and by for the last couple of years. And that's why this timing has been uncanny for me, that I asked my mom to come help, because now we're in this coronavirus and I need her more than ever. So it's really worked out in my favor, and I feel like that's because I allowed myself to admit that I needed help, that I was struggling, and ask her for help for the first time in 18 years, not for any other baby or anything. So I feel like my bachan on the other side has been looking out for me, and kind of we are still in cahoots, and she's making moves from the other side and letting my mom stay here for 3 months instead of just one. But that has come as a result of me being able to say, I can't do this, like this is too hard or whatever, I need help to be the kind of mom that I want to be. I just can't do it all those types of thoughts. Personally, I would not be on social media right now if it wasn't for my business, and part of what I've learned with social media in the last couple of years, especially running a business, is you can't take any of it personally. And I think especially for those who might be taking likes or comments or follows or unfollows and all that kind of stuff to heart right now, especially during this period of everybody being a little bit more on edge than usual, then it's a really good opportunity to just take a step back, because I couldn't take any of that personally, and I was really beginning to, because when you start a business and you start sharing online, you feel like, oh my gosh, it's so nice when people support you. And then when you're consistently posting, nobody can like everything you do all the time. And when you start to take that personally, then you really have to draw some boundaries within yourself. And that's why for me, I don't keep track of my friends on social media, because I like keeping track of them when I talk to them, and via text or via more personal means, because I run a business and I post what is relevant to that, in hopes to support and inspire. People think that that's my whole life. And when I talk to friends and they're like, oh yeah, I know you're doing great. And I'm like, yes, I am. However, there's all this stuff that's happening that I'm not putting online. So for any of us to think that everything we see, or even what our best friends put out, is the whole picture, it's just false. So when it starts to F with your mind, it's just a good sign to take a breather. Can I tell you what you should be doing instead? Take that opportunity to go do one of your ERMLs. Eat. How are you eating? Check in with that. Or are you hungry? Or are you feeding yourself stuff that is making your guts create thoughts and patterns and routines that you don't necessarily feel like are fueling you in a positive direction? Are you resting enough? This is the face of somebody who just got 10 hours last night, who I don't even remember the last time that happened, and it was so long overdue, it was ridiculous. But I just followed my own advice, which is to go to bed when I felt tired, because once that second wind kicks in, you're not going to get tired again until later. And the problem is we all base our time of when we're tired or when we should go to bed on the time on the clock, which is totally arbitrary, not in time or in line with nature. So just go with what feels right at the time. And even if that means going down when the sun is up, you know, counterintuitive to what I just said about nature, you're your own guru. Move. Every day I move, even if it's just breath work. Moving can be a lot of things. It's not just exercise. I just happen to like exercise, but I also like variety. And I think that if you don't like exercise, then you need variety. What's next? Express yourself. Especially, number one, everyone's a creative person. Number two, creative people need to be creating right now, because it's so easy to just get into consumption mode where you're just reading and intaking and watching, and you need to do something with whatever's going on inside of you, even if that's journaling, because I guarantee you probably need to be journaling at least a little bit right now, at least documenting this time, you know. Laughter. When was the last time you laughed? I think that's a question that we all avoid because it's like, it's been too long for many people, especially when they're stressed out. And then S, nature. Shinrin yoku, spend time in nature. Some people that I've worked with say sunshine. Find your own way to make the acronym work for you.